Okay, I think it's streaming. I'm gonna go on my phone and see. Oh, yep, there it is. Alright, I have no idea how many people are gonna be in here. 60k subs we just hit, obviously, because that's what the stream's for. Never done a stream before. Here's some topics you guys can ask, or just put your input into the chat. You don't even have to ask me anything if you don't want. But yeah, if you want to join the giveaway, just join the Discord. It's linked in the bio, or at least it should be. Yeah, it is. Also, drop a like on it. If this does well, I'm gonna do more. Even if it doesn't, probably gonna do more. Never done this before, obviously, so it's kind of rudimentary. You know, pretty basic. Just just a screenshot of something I made. Because I can't show my face because I don't have that set up or anything. But I'm gonna try to set it up kind of soon. Probably at least an hour. I did a live stream on TikTok a few months ago. Something pretty similar to this, and that went pretty well. Just some comments and questions and whatnot. And I have about half as many followers on TikTok, so if you're not following me there, you should. It's basically the same shorts, but YouTube gets way more content. TikTok doesn't get any exclusive content really. I used to only put specific TikToks on YouTube for a while because YouTube didn't allow over 1 minute videos, and TikTok basically you can only do over a minute if you're in a program, in a partner program on TikTok. So big thanks to everyone who subscribed. I'm really interested to see how many people are subscribed via shorts, videos, or posts, because I think a lot of people are subscribed because of my posts. Randomly, a few months ago, they just got so much engagement for randomly. I'm not even sure how. Yeah, got some members only posts too, so if you want to become a member, you get screenshots of new videos coming up, and you can make your own quizzes and stuff. You can also give me quiz ideas in this live stream too, and I'll post it right here. So yeah, 1929. Obviously, you can see what it is because I made it. So hopefully you didn't get you didn't see that before you actually tried doing it, because otherwise you just saw the answer, but whatever. But yeah, I really like how YouTube changed it. So you used to be able to change your answer on quizzes, and that really skewed the data on actual percentage-wise, because a lot of people would just do it, included me. It wasn't even that I actively just tried changing the answer. I just went to green and I automatically pressed it before. So yeah, now the data is pretty consistent on what people actually got first time. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. My hardest quiz, I think, is less than 10%. It's probably around 6%, honestly. I'm gonna try to put this in the Discord, see if anyone... I don't have many Discord people, but you should join, because that's where the giveaway is. 60k giveaway. I might see if my audio is working. Okay. seems alright. Okay, doesn't seem like there's a huge delay in the stream, which is good. So yeah, if you want to put video ideas, this one did pretty well. I don't know if any of you saw that. The Stubby, I did a long form video over a year ago on it, and that did okay. I don't know how this one keeps growing. That has not stopped growing since I posted it. And yeah, it was alright. It's my first one. Obviously, your first one isn't going to be that good. And I privated a lot of my old videos because, yeah, they weren't that good. Also, it wasn't really my voice. I don't know if anyone is that OG. But now, there's a live stream here. Giveaway, just join the Discord for that. You get a free shirt, or, what was it? Free shirt, hat, or whatever you want from my store. Let's see if there's any questions. Doesn't look like there is. Just don't want to miss any, you know. I'm gonna probably do, actually, the reason I did this quiz is because Anne Frank was born on this day. So it was her birthday, and that's when she got her diary. And I read basically Anne Frank's diary in one day for school a few years ago. And I actually read it on June 12th, because that's when it was like the last day of school. And I had to read that. I honestly don't remember too much about it, but pretty sad because the war was ending right when she got caught, and she died only like a couple months before she would have been liberated, which is really sad. I think she went to Auschwitz. A few years ago, I went to the Holocaust Museum in New York, or not New York, Washington D.C. I think it is. That was pre-COVID, so I might have changed some. And yeah, that was really interesting. I don't really do too much Holocaust because YouTube censors it, and TikTok you can't even put anything, even World War II related, on TikTok, because they will just censor that hardcore. And I don't really want to have anything censored. Yeah, I think most people know Martin Luther King Jr. and Anne Frank were born in 1929. I found out Arnold Palmer was too. I was either going to put Arnold Palmer or Lev Yashin, who was a Russian goalkeeper that many soccer fans would know, but I don't know if anyone else would really know. Yeah, I think Vsauce did a video on that too. So yeah, this person knew. Yeah, and then I think Neil Armstrong, Michael Collins, and Buzz Aldrin were all born in 1930, which I found extremely interesting. So they were, what? Yeah, it's the 26th anniversary, or not 26, but it's gonna be there's the moon landing was in 1969, July 20th, so that is coming up. And the videos don't get that many views, but there's some topics that don't get many views, but I still always do. So moon landing is one of them, because that's just such a big moment in history. And JFK's moon landing speech is one of the greatest presidential speeches in history. And this one, everyone knows why, or not why I did it, but, They Might Be Giants song, New Amsterdam, New Deutschland, New Jersey, or New Istanbul. So, yeah. It was New York originally named. Everyone seemed to like this one. This one got a ton of answered. I think the ones that are easy get more answered because people just like answering it, If it's easy, people will answer it and get a lot of answers. The harder ones probably don't get as much. My Clontarf poll. Or is that? I think it's up here. Or this one. This one is a good example too. Okay, this one got 20K, but one of them is a lot different. I can't even pronounce that. That's why I didn't put it in the video. Because it doesn't really matter too much exactly where he was from. So I just didn't do it because it's so hard to pronounce. And he was an American hero, John Paul Jones, which is what the poll's about, obviously. So yeah, the Clontarf one, I'm not sure where that is. I know it was a few weeks ago. Or not, maybe not a few weeks ago. I probably passed it. Or not. Yeah, here it is. Battle of Clontarf was fought near which city? See, Battle of Clontarf is so unknown, especially with my audience, which is mostly American, like this dude says in the comments. Yeah, never heard of the battle. So I think if people don't know either what I'm talking about in the quiz or don't know any of the answers, they don't answer it. And only got 8.1K. I don't really care about how much people answer too much, but that's just interesting to me. How much answer do you get depending on how hard it is? I think there's a correlation there. And no, it's a toss-up. Yeah, it's Irish. Probably gonna do some more armament quizzes. If anyone has any quiz ideas, just put it in, and I'll make it. That's also for members, but for the live stream, I'll be doing that. Then which aircraft carrier is not sunk on Midway? I'm just talking about these quizzes. Hoshio. I haven't looked up how to say that correctly, but yeah, that was interesting because someone pointed out in the comments, it was at Midway, close enough at the Battle of Midway, but by then it had been relegated to basically just a training carrier, so it wasn't any of the four major carriers, the Soryu, Akagi, Kaga, and Hiryu, which were at Midway, and they were all sunk. That's probably the greatest American battle, and definitely one of my favorite battles to make a video about. I haven't made a long form video yet, but yeah. So interesting. I like the Pacific Theater more than any other theater in World War II. I think that's the most interesting. Probably because it's the most American centralized. And where my family members served. Because I'm on the West Coast. Then, okay, so this one's funny because so many people thought I said D-Day, I think. Even though 78% got it right, so many people thought I said D-Day. Also, it's funny because, you know, people don't like it if it's too easy. People don't like it if it's too hard. They like it that super sweet spot where they want to know the answer, but they want to have it be kind of niche where they are proud of themselves for knowing the answer. So, yeah, that's interesting too. See, I think so many people thought I said D-Day and not 6-Day War. That's why people were saying in the comments Israel wasn't a country in 1944, see? So yeah, that's funny. Yeah, Israel. I did a video 1948. I was going to put Pakistan. Well, I was going to put Iran, but then directly that could have been debated a little bit. So India had so little involvement that it basically is not, and it's obviously not directly, you know. India had no direct involvement. Iran didn't really even have too much direct involvement. It was only really Israel, Egypt, Jordan, and Syria that had direct involvement, mostly. So, yeah, I didn't want any big debates on that. I wanted it to be pretty clear. This one's obviously pretty straightforward. Then this one. What ship do you think would win a 1v1? Bismarck or Yamato? Bismarck's a good ship, but it's not powerful compared to the Yamato. Because not only did the Yamato have more major guns in terms of like 9 18-inch compared to the Bismarck's 8 14 or 15-inch. What was it? Yeah, 15-inch. So 9 18-inch or 8 15-inch. So obviously the Yamato has way more firepower in that regard. So I'd have to give it to that. But I think it's semi-close. But I do think the Yamato would win. Battle of Tsushima. That's a very interesting... Russo-Japanese War is very interesting. It's basically the first time ever a major European power was defeated by an Asian power. I think that's true. That's why it's so such a big deal. This one had a lot of comments. So Stalingrad, Bulge, Moscow, Atlantic. All of these were in phases, so I don't really see how the Atlantic is different from Stalingrad, or how it's different from Leningrad, which was a siege. And I don't see how a siege is so much different from a... Well, I see how it's different from a battle, obviously, but I don't see how the siege of Leningrad is definitely the longest battle of World War II, and the Battle of the Atlantic isn't. Oh, got a Chrisaton. I don't know if you know this. Chrisaton reacted to some of my videos, so I would check out his channel if you want to see some good reactions. He said I wanted to see a poll on Bismarck versus Dreadnought since those two ships got Sabaton songs. Yeah, that's a good one. Dreadnought World War II, Bismarck World War I. Dreadnought World War I, Bismarck World War II. That'd be a good one because they were. That's the main thing in my was the Bismarck actually powerful video. Was the Bismarck. Bismarck wasn't that good because naval doctrine was turning away from battleships. So at World War One, they were looking at, huge battleships like Battle of Jutland. But by World War II, you definitely see, especially in the Pacific, doctrine revolving around not battleships, but aircraft carriers. Either make slideshow videos or watch Imperial History on this channel. Yep, that's what Kriston does. Good info. So yeah, I think this is just turning into, well, anyone can do any of this. If they want to put quiz ideas, I'll make one. And any of this, ask any questions either. But yeah, it's basically turning into a quiz video. Well, that's okay. Yeah, this one's pretty straightforward. This one's extremely difficult to know, but most consensus is around 1.3 million. But yeah, it's stupidly hard to see how many casualties there are or how many died in battles. So basically, you'll have 20 different answers from 20 different sites. The one I choose for most are American Battlefield Trust. That's what I do for Revolutionary War or Civil War battles. War of 1812 too, but it's mostly those two wars that do most of that I really do Battlefield Trust for casualty rates and deaths. HMS Hood. And this one's funny. Bismarck Sea. Bismarck Sea is a Pacific War video. I mean, a Pacific War battle. That's funny because the Bismarck was a German battleship. Kriston says, congrats on 60k subs. Thank you. He's one of the subscribers, obviously. Yeah, I'm really interested to see how many have subscribed to my posts, shorts, or videos. I think shorts is definitely biggest for subs, but I think posts get up there a lot because I get so many answered. 4 of them. That's right, Kriston's 4 of my subs. It's pretty goated. I would like to see videos or polls on the Paraguayan War in the 1860s, South America's bloodiest war. Could have missed them. No, you didn't miss them because I haven't done any on that. But yeah, we gotta do some more South American history. The only one I've really done is the Falklands War, and that's South American / European history, because Britain versus Argentina. I did a poll a while ago. Who do you think the Falklands should belong to? I think that's about what the poll is about. Or something like that. Because there's people who are saying, oh, it definitely belongs to Argentina. And the British have no claim over it. But the British had claim over it before they were Britain, I think. I think England claimed it first. And then, Great Britain formed with Scotland and England, so yeah, I gotta do some more South American history. This one's pretty it's pretty straightforward, that quiz. How long is stuff? Has some different answers too, but basically consensus is 10 days as well. Oh, this one had some controversy. The Philippines is named after the king of which country? It's named after the king of Spain. So technically, King Philip II was king of Portugal as well. But the Philippines was not named after him because he was king of Portugal. It was named after him because he was king of Spain. That is why it's correct. Also, it was named before he was king of either, technically. I think that's true. So yeah, he was king of Spain and Portugal, but, it was named after him. This one was slightly controversial too, because which battle is considered first modern naval battle? Oh, Murder Sorry in the chat. Murder Sorry. That might be wrong. Says cool. Welcome to the stream. If you have any Q&A, hot history takes, favorite history, quiz ideas, video ideas, using history, yeah, just put it in the chat. Also, join the Discord if you want to enter the giveaway. I'm giving away a hat, t-shirt, or what was it? Hat, t-shirt, mug, or flag. Going to be 2 winners of that in a week. So yeah, that was pretty good. 60k sub giveaway. Anyway, this could be multiple battles, like some people pointed out, but since there are only 4 answers here, the question exists in a vacuum. Are you in college or uni? Neither, actually. I graduated high school and just... Well, I did this before I graduated high school, because I started this in March 31st, 2023. And I graduated in 2023. So yeah, this is just my history knowledge that I researched on my own. And I took some AP classes in high school. I don't know if you're familiar with that. You said uni, so I think that's in a British term, and obviously our things are different. But yeah, they got so many 5s. 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 6, 4. So, man, that's so weird. Also, I actually have over 25 million views, I think, but I got rid of the ones without my voice. So, yeah, it's just my voice now. People still think it's AI, because, you know, I did it not as a joke, but I was like, oh, this AI voice is pretty interesting. Let me use it for some stuff. I found the AI voice on a TikTok on an anniversary video of an event that was fake. And that was right when the AI voice came out. It was 11 Labs AI, and that was right when it came out. So I just, you know, oh, this is kind of cool. Let me use this. I didn't really think long term, but now I am. So it's definitely better to use my own voice. It's not the best, obviously, as people point out, but it's mine. So. But yeah, going back to this quiz down here. Sorry if I'm giving you the answers to this, but yeah, sorry. Why do you like history? Because it's the story of humankind. And the humans are super interesting people. And I like seeing the patterns in history. You know, history repeats itself, mimics itself, rhymes with itself. It's very interesting. And how your life is today is the culmination of everyone's decisions in history. And what I also really like is the super small decisions in history that affect major things. Rhymes with Grug, exactly. I like history. Rhymes with Grug. You should watch Crudes. That came out like 12 years ago, I think. So yeah, it's super interesting to see how small decisions impact so many lives and everyone's lives. Small decisions, big impacts. Yeah, I'm gonna do a video on that. Small decisions that had big impacts. Yeah, it's also Chris Aton's Discord status. Join the Discord. I think I have like 50 people in there. The thing is, most of my audience is like 60. Not most, but a good chunk of it, so I don't even know if they really have Discord. Illuminati conspiracies, Rothschilds, interesting. Foxfire says in the chat. Yeah, some interesting stuff. I saw a video on YouTube, Rothschilds and the Napoleonic War. Napoleonic Wars, that is, and how they basically played both sides, and that's very interesting. It goes into Jew conspiracies, which I have different opinions than most people. Not bad. Just got to clarify that. I don't agree with the conspiracies, really. Because I think there's a lot of bad people from every background, obviously. And, yeah, I have some family members like that. Like a plurality of your audience. Depending on the video, and depending when you're looking at it, about 40 to 20 or 25% to 40% of my audience is 65 and over. Usually hovers around 25% to 30%. You know, because obviously older people like history more than younger, I'd say. But a lot of younger people are getting into history, I'd say. You know, Gen Z. I'm Gen Z. I don't know if anyone knows that. It might be kind of obvious or not if you're Gen Z. But yeah, I've gotten some more 30-year-olds, I think. I think that's the demographic that's really getting up there. Which battle is considered the first modern naval battle? Let's see. What is the most disturbing thing you learned in history? If it gives you PTSD, don't answer. Don't worry. Nothing really traumatizes me at all. Which might be a little bad, slightly bad thing. I don't. But anyway, I think it's Japanese. I think Japanese Pacific War. That's probably one of the worst things. Hopefully this video doesn't get destroyed by YouTube, but man, there's some pictures that I would never put on YouTube about the Japanese and not internment camps. That was American, and they didn't do. Okay, it was bad, but it's nothing compared to concentration camps or what the Japanese did in Unit 731. Yep, Kristan and Murder Story got it. Unit 731. That's awful, but what they did to Korea, like Foxfire pointed out, that's got to be some of the worst stuff. I have an uncle that spent like 4 years in a Japanese prison camp during World War II. And that's got to be one of the most insane feats to me, because Japanese were potentially the most brutal in World War II. It's between them and the Soviets and the Germans, obviously, in my opinion, of what I've learned. No one else even comes close to those three countries. So yeah, I'd have to say Japanese. And also there's a big bias between modern atrocities, because you can definitely see the photographs. So like the Aztecs slaughtering thousands and thousands of people a day in human sacrifice, that's not going to resonate as well with us because we can't really see the footage or photos of it, you know? So I think modern atrocities are looked at in a different lens because you can directly see the impact. Which is why Japanese was so bad. Or it's not why it's so bad, but it comes to my mind first, because there's some bad photos out there. Yeah, nuns, people. What do you think of what if videos? I really like them. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm smart enough to really make them. Because you have to have a ton of history knowledge to make them. And you have to be super educated on a ton of different topics to make them, in my opinion. To make them well, at least. I would really like Armchair Historians what if videos. They're my favorite. Like, he did what if Hitler was a girl. That's funny. But no, Armchair Historian did what if Operation Sea Lion, which was the invasion of Great Britain by the Germans in World War II. So I like that one. Also, Operation Unthinkable by Armchair Historian. I like that one. It was Churchill's plan to invade the Soviets after Germany was destroyed. I might dabble in it, maybe as a short at first, because doesn't have to needs so much more research. It doesn't need so much research to do a short on a what if. Which what if would I be best at? I'm not sure. Probably a Civil War one. Problem is, a lot of what ifs have easy answers when it comes to Americans, because American would win anyway. Like, what if the Battle of Midway ended in a Japanese victory? It would only prolong the Pacific War. There was not a single scenario in which Japanese would ever make the Americans surrender or be conquered. I do not believe that at all. The absolute might of the American industrial complex could never be topped by any country ever during World War II. And on a similar note, what if Battle of Gettysburg was won by the Union? Confederacy. I honestly don't think a whole lot would change. I think the Battle of Gettysburg is overhyped in terms of impact on the war. I think it's definitely top 3, but I'd put Vicksburg at 1, Antietam at 2, and Gettysburg at 3. I'd like to see what if William Henry Harrison served a full term. I think it says. Lasted more than a month. Yeah. See, I wouldn't be good at that 'cause I don't have all that history knowledge or education. I don't know too much about him, but obviously I can do it. I just think it requires a ton of speculation and an insane amount of knowledge to do it. But that is a very good video idea. Watching what if videos without knowing about the history for what if is a what if indeed. Exactly. What if the British won the 100 Years' War? That's also a good one. 100 Years' War has a lot of phases, so that would take a ton of research, because in what specific phase would they have won it in? I think the longer the war went on, the worse the English did, obviously. So it would have to be at Agincourt or Cressy. It was where, around those times, I think, from my knowledge at least, is where they would have to solidify their claim to the French throne. I have a thing for American presidents. Big thanks to Mr. Beat, says Kriston. Yep, Mr. Beat's pretty amazing at those president videos. My favorite one is Vlogging Through History. Watch a ton of his reactions. I think Vlogging Through History is definitely my favorite YouTuber. Oversimplified's obviously a goat too, but he just doesn't post that much. All his Oversimplified probably has the best channel in terms of correlation between videos outputted and videos that are 10 out of 10. I think basically all his videos are 10 out of 10. But that's just kind of what happens when you don't post too much and you take a lot of time to really make a good video. Who else has similar to that? I don't. It's got to be Oversimplified. What if Prussia defeated France? In any of the wars they fought. Age of Empires 4 boosted my medieval history knowledge. That's pretty good. I've always wondered why in real life lore for 8 to 9 years already, says Kriston. Yep, same. My main people I'm watching is Vlogging Through History, Armchair Historian. Those are the two channels that I regularly tune into in the history niche. But yeah, I definitely dabble in a ton of other ones. Same especially for John F. Kennedy. I think that's talking about the what if John F. Kennedy survived. Yeah, that'd be pretty interesting too. Or if Abraham Lincoln survived. That's probably one of the biggest what ifs in American history in terms of a president, because Reconstruction with Andrew Johnson didn't go too well. And there is a super fine line between Reconstruction and allowing people who rebelled just to go off freely. And it's super hard to do. Like, I see people in comments all the time, Confederates should have been executed and whatnot, and I completely disagree. That would have just made another civil war. Reconstruction, Grant was a big fan of Reconstruction, and he's one of my favorite presidents. Let them back in, try to heal the country back without slavery. Yeah. I also read a lot of Wikipedia and pretty much make my biggest source of videos I make. Yeah, Kriston. Nothing wrong with Wikipedia. I use Wikipedia a lot. Problem is, there's been this freaking teacher cult in my generation that's been hating on Wikipedia for some reason. And I think it's just because it's an easy thing to use for research purposes. That's all it is. They just didn't want kids using the easiest tool. And yeah, you can edit it, but it's way more difficult now to edit. It's still good, but it shouldn't be your only one when you're making history. So when I make history, I use Wikipedia, but I use it as like a overall thing. So it's good for an overall picture, some details here and there, but it shouldn't be the only thing. So yeah. Unless it's super simple, like when did World War II start? Obviously, Wikipedia is going to have the answer to that. Simple things are fine. One of my biggest what ifs is if the Discord was about Reagan's assassination in 1981. Yeah, Kriston was a really good one. Who was vice president? It was Bush Sr., I believe. So Bush Sr. would have been president earlier, and obviously Reagan wouldn't have done his stuff. I live near the Reagan Library because I'm in SoCal. I've been there a couple times. Yeah, really good museum. I want to go to more presidential museums. Reagan's the only one I've ever been to. Do you think Marie Antoinette deserved to be guillotined? Says Murder Sorry. Deserved. Deserved is an odd concept to me in history, because when every study of history, I come to the same conclusion, which is whoever can kill the other person is right. Bigger army diplomacy is the only thing in history that really matters. So if Marie Antoinette really deserved to live, she would have. And that's kind of what history is all about. Who can kill the other person? That's what you see in English history. It's what you see in Mongolian history. That's just the thing in history. Who can kill the other person is in the right, basically. Because, history is written by the survivors, and the survivors are almost usually the winners. And, But yeah, in terms of crimes, I guess Marie Antoinette maybe should have been guillotined. Yeah, it's basically whoever can kill the other person is in the right in history. And claims to land, whoever can hold the land, whoever can conquer the land. I mean, that's kind of who they deserve to own the land, I guess. It's just what happens in history. My middle school teachers hated Wikipedia because you could edit it, and my high school teachers used to. Yeah, exactly, Kriston. Wikipedia is so informative, I wonder why they would hate it. It says Murder Sorry. I think it's just because in school it's the easiest thing to use, and the teachers want you to dig a little deeper. I think that's literally it. Kriston, Bush Sr. would have still been the 41st president. Reagan would have had the second shortest presidency as well, ahead of Garfield and William Henry Harrison. Yeah, he was assassinated Hinckley Jr. Easiest thing now is ChatGPT. Yep. Man, I didn't really use ChatGPT in school because it came out right when I was graduating. But I think it's not bad. People just need to utilize it well, like every tool. So yeah, if you use ChatGPT well, I think it's a good tool. You just can't use it as your only thing, really. What if the Federalist Party didn't keep dissolving after 1800? Or National Republicans after 1882, or Whigs after 1852. Yeah, that's pretty interesting, because we only have two parties now, obviously. Well, only two parties that matter. The other ones have no chance of winning. So it'd be really... But in the early days of the United States, there were a lot of parties. Not a lot, but there were like basically four parties in the first couple of elections, and people from different parties won a bunch of them. So it'd be interesting to see how the United States would look like with four major parties. And what another good video is, what party would someone be a part of back then? So like Obama, would he be a part of Federalist, Democratic, Republican, Whig, whatnot? That goes into a lot of speculation and whatnot, but yeah, that's what those videos are about. I think you can make reaction videos, like for the vid, this mine. Yeah, I can. Thing is, I'm not a huge authority. I'm just some dude researching, and I guess that's how you become an authority. But vlogging through history, he's a history teacher, so he has a lot more authority than me. I don't know if anyone would care for me doing a reaction in that kind of way, but yeah, I could do those. They've pretty much always been two-party systems with occasional third or fourth parties. Yeah, that's basically it. Four-way elections. Yeah, only four-way elections have been gone away for 160 years, or about 160 years, in terms of who actually has a chance of winning it. Obviously, Teddy Roosevelt tried running and got a decent amount of votes in terms of a third-party candidate. So yeah. Oh, we got someone join the Discord. Welcome. If anyone joins, it's in the giveaways channel. It's 1 a.m. here. Nice knowing about someone who cares about history. Bye. See ya, Murder Story. Good talking with you. (1872), I think, is the weirdest election. U.S. Grant versus Horace Greeley. Yep. Weirdest, in my opinion, is probably... Which one? 1800 or 1820. I think those are the most interesting. Also, the background of this is, 1820 or 1824. Background of this is Aztec, Tenochtitlan capital. Because, I don't know if anyone watched it, but Mike Cortez video. Let's go to these quizzes again. Sorry if I'm showing you the answers, but yeah. This one's just, what would win 100 of that or 1 of this? That's just history take on the 100 man versus gorilla. I don't know if any of you guys know that trend a few weeks ago. But yeah. Pope, obviously we got a new Pope. So the one with the shortest reign. 13 calendar days. Pretty short. So yeah, this one had a lot of controversy. Battle of the first modern naval battle. I have to go with Coral Sea. Well, obviously this question exists in a vacuum. It's not like a type your own answer in. So out of these questions, it's obviously Coral Sea. In terms of what you will argue with. But modern in terms of ironclad, Battle of Hampton Roads, Civil War. And then modern in terms of having guns on ships. That was in, I don't know what battle that is, but I remember it being, I think, a couple hundred years before. I actually don't know. But I gotta do a video on that. First modern naval battle in terms of putting guns on ships, like cannons. Or first modern naval battle where people didn't directly interact, and that's Coral Sea. So there's 3 major modern naval battles if you're going in that direction. But Coral Sea is my answer because we're in modern times and modern naval doctrines decide by aircraft. This is the first time Coral Sea happened. George Dewey. Commodore, Battle of Manila Bay, one of my favorite battles. Not in terms of, learning about it. I went to Manila Bay 14 months ago about. I didn't see anything about this battle. I probably just looked in the wrong places. Longest reigning monarch. So, there's some Egyptian people. The Goes Finally Alive says Blaisha 360 in the chat. This one, who's the longest reigning monarch? And some people said there's an Egyptian monarch that was really had a very long reign. But ancient history is very hard to tell if it's true or not. So I don't really consider that true, because you can't really pinpoint it down exactly. And I know we had a regent, but he wasn't the monarch. Yeah, shortest reign is very short. Coup d'etat can go in and out real fast in a country. Where's the Battle of San Jacinto? People didn't like this one. I'm going to the Titanic Museum in about a month, hopefully. So I'm going to ask some of the people there this question, see if they get it right. Life just makes their reigns look long. Yep. Pedro Lasurian, maybe? I'm not good with pronunciations, to be honest. I tried to look him up beforehand, but even then I'm not too good at that. 38th President of Mexico for 45 minutes. Yep, sounds about right. This video I made in one day because I kind of forgot it was going to be the 250th anniversary. So it's not my best video ever, but I just had to get it out there for the 250th anniversary. I just needed a video about the Battle of Lexington and Concord for that. I fear people don't like that. Listen, it's a fear because I don't want this destroyed by YouTube. It's not some hidden agenda. you know, he killed my people. So I don't know why people think I'm pro that, but you know, Arizona. Hopefully, I go to Hawaii. People want to go to Hawaii for like beaches, water. Nah, I want to go for the Pearl Harbor attack. See the USS Arizona. You know, I should do more quote quizzes. I like those. People got it right. 'Cause this is a fairly easy, famous one. Franklin Roosevelt was born on January 30th, 1882. Yep. Might do a quiz like that. Put any quiz ideas you want in chat and I'll make one. Yeah. Franklin Roosevelt is like my sixth cousin. This one, I didn't mean for this one to be mean, it just kind of happened. I was literally, history.com on this day, on that side a ton, obviously. And they did a thing. Harriet Quimby was the first woman to earn a pilot's license. That was interesting. Let's do a quiz on that. Then I learned she died in an airplane crash just months later. Man, that is just not good. But back then, everyone was dying in airplane crashes. Airplanes were stupidly unsafe back then. They were so difficult to do anything with. Erwin Smith, like that. Edward Eli Easton. That video took a while to do. That's probably my best video in my opinion. I want to go to Hawaii because it's really unique. I think we're only allowed to go to 6 out of 8 of the big islands. Yep, I've heard something like that too. And yeah, it's weird that it's a U.S. state. 3 presidents were born in my birth month of December. Yep. Oh yeah. Event did not take place on April 9th. So obviously I know April 9th was when Robert E. Lee surrendered. But then I found out Erich Ludendorff was born on that exact day. Alexander H. Stevens. Funny story about this. I don't know if any of you guys saw the Lincoln movie like 12 years ago. I actually haven't. But there was a actor who I saw in a movie. And he looked exactly like Alexander H. Stevens. And then I come to find out he actually played Alexander H. Stevens in the Lincoln movie. That's interesting. Hannibal Hamlin. Yeah, most people don't know, as you can see by the poll, most people don't know Andrew Johnson was not Lincoln's first vice president. Shiloh in Hebrew. That's interesting. Hamlin was Andrew Johnson, Martin Van Buren, Andrew Johnson, Woodrow Wilson. Weird how it's all unpopular presidents. Those are some of the 3 worst presidents in most people's opinions, born in the month of December. Hamlin and Johnson were Lincolns, and then, yeah. Admiral Nelson. I've been to Nelson's Column in London, I think it is. That's one of England's greatest ever heroes. Yeah, I haven't done this in 2 months, really. Strongest country in the 16th century. I'm just gonna go down until it's too obvious that it's Rome, It's fairly obvious, but there's some, debate in certain decades or years, in almost every decade, obviously. Like in the 20th century, it's the United States, undoubtedly. But, Soviet Union was pretty powerful. British Empire was the most powerful in super early 20th century. And obviously German Empire was powerful, and, Germany during World War II was too. But, yeah, overall it's definitely United States in 20th century in my opinion. NATO. Banned the crossbow. That video is kind of, my short on that has gotten a ton of views, and I guess it's pretty interesting. Pope Innocent II, funny name, ironic name for that. Also, yeah, if you want to join the members club, you get to see the thumbnails before I post them. I also do more stuff, but I don't have many members currently, so yeah. 15th century Inca Empire. Yeah, definitely up there. It's hard doing Native American empires because there weren't really any other states that battled with them. Like in Europe, there's the French Empire, British Empire, German Empire, and all the kingdoms before that, and they all battled with each other. So it's kind of easy to see their strength compared to others. With the Native American ones, it's kind of hard to see how strong they were because they live in a bit of a vacuum until the Europeans arrived. Yeah, Incas I like more than Aztecs because Aztecs killed so many people in sacrifice. I don't think Incas really did that, if they did it even at all. Yeah, America said Inca, Aztec, Mayan, Iroquois, and random spots. I think the Inca was their best civilization. They had like roads, they had super intricate agricultural systems. And weird how their best civilizations were in the southern, more south. I know Mexico's in South America, but if you're looking at Northern America, Mexico is more south than United States or Canada. Llamas, exactly. Big thing. There's a book out there, Guns, Germs, and Guns, Steel, and Gunpowder. What is it? Germs, Steel, and Gunpowder. That's not what it's called, but it's super similar. It talks about how Native Americans couldn't really build civilizations because they didn't have the correct animals. Exactly, Chris Tom. Animals were hard to domesticate in the landmass, except for llamas. Llamas aren't even that good. Compare that to a cow. Man, cow dominates the llama. Which weapon is better? Longbow, crossbow. Pretty common sin right now. Which state did Battle of Glory to Pass? I was so close to Battle of Glory to Pass in New Mexico, but I couldn't go. I did go to Pueblos, though. I don't do too many when exactly did this thing occur in terms of dates, because there's been a whole movement, I guess, to limit the amount of dates in history. And I don't necessarily hate that movement, but I do think dates are very needed in history knowledge. Because if you don't know a date, you won't really know the cause and effect of certain stuff. So you got to know dates. But it's kind of a boring quiz, and it doesn't matter as much, really. Still good to know, though. Abraham Lincoln with a patent. John Quincy Adams. A lot of people thought John Quincy Adams. Good guess, to be honest, because he was the smartest president, in my opinion. And no, that's not because I share a birthday with him. So yeah, is the commander's legacy enhanced if they die in battle? Yeah, well, almost all polls, there's a depends. So if you put it depends, obviously that's the correct answer. So you don't want to put that in a poll, because that just kind of makes the poll useless if you put it depends or something like that. So you gotta have concrete no, slightly no, yes, slightly yes, or yes. I would do slightly yes because it really depends how. but I do think overall, generally, a commander's legacy is enhanced if they die in battle. As seen with Rommel. Like Rommel, I know he didn't die in battle, but he died, and there's a myth around him that because he died, he was one of the best generals. He was a good general, but I don't think if he died, he'd be looked as favorably. And I think that's the exact thing what happened with Stonewall Jackson. Thermopylae. Gavrio Princip. December presidents were 5th, 29th, and 28th. Known as 15th. Yeah. There's got to be some people, though. That's insane. How many French soldiers died on that date, which was, I think, Battle of Frontiers. I really gotta do a Battle of Cannae, or Cannae. I've heard people pronounce it twice, those two different, Cannae, or Cannae. Cannae, or Cannae. I've heard people use those words interchangeably. But, like, 80,000 Romans died in that single day. I think that dwarfs basically anything else. Like, even World War II, which is an industrialized warfare, that's insane. Lewis and Clark. I really like Lewis and Clark. If I had money and expertise, I'd do a video going through the Lewis and Clark journey. That'd be a good video to make. The poll is all 20s percentages. Yep, that rarely happens. Steam engine. Yeah, I'd say steam engine probably. Pi Day, March 14th. Albert Einstein. And then, obviously, what's his name died on March 14th? Hawking. Tussaud Charbonneau. I'm so small I get balanced results. Yep, that's what happens. And you can look at ones just after a little bit, and they're pretty balanced. Yep. If anyone wants me to make a quiz out of there, or have any quizzes that they would like me to make, as long as they're correct. Join Discord for the giveaway. If this does okay, I'm probably gonna do some more. I have way more plans to stream. I just don't have a face cam or anything set up currently. I think that's what that'll be good. 13,000 miles. Great Wall of China. I didn't get to go on the Great Wall of China when I was there, but yeah, that's insane. Wonder how long it would take to walk that. World's strongest country in 17th century. This one I'd have to say not England, to be honest. I'd go with Spain. Maybe France. Portugal never seems like a dominating power, probably because it's so small and on the Iberian Peninsula, but they were very rich and had a vast empire. In terms of trading posts, they were really into the trading posts type of empire. Like, Spain conquered a ton of territory, but Portugal conquered very strategic places where trading posts were. Yeah, I don't think it's England, to be honest, but that's okay. Stomach cancer. Syphilis. Artillery. Yeah, I think most people don't know he didn't die in battle like that. I did a poll for which president has the most iconic memes. That's a good one. It's Trump, definitely. No way it's anyone else but Trump with the memes. Hate him or love him, you gotta admit, he has memes, alright. Obama has memes too. Joe Biden, our last presidents have had memes, but it's gotta be Trump, definitely. No competition for that. I have an underdog bias for Portugal. Yeah, they're very good. Very interesting people. And by people, I mean empire. Bush Jr. is whispering pig is iconic. Definitely true, too. Alexander Graham Bell, not born in the United States, but was an immigrant, I think. Or at least to Canada. But he was born in Scotland. Now, some people don't consider Albert Sidney Johnston an American because he was for the Confederacy, but I do. So he's the highest ranking American to be killed during the Civil War, and highest ranking officer, period, and highest ranking officer ever to be killed in a war, an American war, that is. And yeah, which Confederate general died at Battle of Shiloh? That's almost to 1,000 views. 1,000 views is my goal for long form videos. I mean, that's where most videos top off at. Man, this one kind of broke me. Not really, but what is your opinion of Napoleon Bonaparte? Man, positive. That's my GOAT. Favorite historical figure by far. Yeah, I guess people see him in a way different view than I do. I think it's mostly ignorance. Hopefully it is. Napoleon wasn't that short. Yep, he wasn't. In fact, he was like 2 inches taller than the average Frenchman. Yeah, 5'6". Average Frenchman was like 5'4". Problem is, his royal guard was way taller than him, making him appear shorter. And also, everyone he basically was with was taller than him too, because aristocrats grow tall. Since Napoleon was only a minor nobility, he wouldn't have grown as tall as a proper aristocrat. So that makes him even appear shorter. And then James Gilroy, or Gilray, British propagandist, and did political cartoons, made him look short too. So yeah. Yeah, it's definitely positive for me. Like, there's some bad takes in my opinion in here. Napoleon video, our biggest myth. Number 1 is that he was short. That's the myth. Oh yeah, this dude, professional. This dude has the most subscribers. U_A_hey in the chat. Welcome to the stream. If you want to ask anything about this, put anything in the chat. I'll answer it. Free speech. That's what I'm all about. I never delete comments. Remember that. If your comment is there, it's deleted by YouTube, not me. Or it's in thing where I have to approve it for some reason. But yeah, I always approve it. So ask anything. No shy away. This guy has the most subscribers of anyone who's ever commented. That's a fun fact. That'll take me here. Bonaparte was taller than Madison, and he has the same height as Van Buren and Benjamin Harrison. Yep. Madison was 5'4", pretty short. Probably not back then in terms of other people, but I mean, two of our first three presidents were well over 6 foot. There's only one president, or two presidents my height. Harry S. Truman and Jimmy Carter. And that's why I like Truman is one of my favorite presidents. Really, really like Truman. Truman is probably in my top 5, to be honest. Oh, here's another 18th century. Did I miss anything? Yeah, my cousin, Robert Livingston. UAA, well, I'm a relatively new subscriber, so I have to think of some stuff to ask. No problem. Don't even have to ask anything if you don't want to. Yeah, Robert Livingston is, I think, my second or third cousin. You know, obviously, like, 8 times removed, because he lived, like, 200 something years ago. Battle of Otumba. That was in my Hernan Cortez long form video. And 18th century, Great Britain. Pretty obvious. Great Britain for the 1700s, 1800s, a lot of the 1900s was the strongest country. I don't think anyone really has major opinion on that, or major different opinion. What's your opinion on the Zoran Mamdani guy that's a New York representative? Don't really have any thoughts, to be honest. I don't deal with modern politics too much, but you're definitely free to ask. Yeah. I've been in New York City. I don't really like cities, to be honest. I just think they're way too dirty. So anyone who's New York based, I just think they need to clean up their city more. It was so dirty. Dude almost did a shooting in a pizza shop I was in. He's like tapping his side, yelling at everyone. Best cities I've ever been to: Beijing, Hong Kong, Singapore, Tokyo. Best cities. Very clean. No crime. Do you play any games? Yes, I play a lot of games. I actually have a gaming channel. It has way less subs than this, and it's not professional. Like, I consider this channel professional. You know, I'm trying to have a little more professional, but I also try to have it be I'm trying to make it more personable. So, yeah, do plenty of games, yeah. Minecraft, obviously. I played War Thunder, but I had to delete it because it took too much space up on my computer. But I'm gonna try to re-download that. Chivalry. Playing a lot of Marvel Rivals. Henry Bruschetti. Probably not a good pronunciation, but welcome to the stream. Hello, I love your videos. Thank you very much. Personally, I like Riyadh as a city. It's in Saudi Arabia. Oh yeah, Qatar, Saudi Arabian cities, they look very clean with limited crime. So yeah, I'd say I would like those too. I'd love to visit the Middle East. It's slightly dangerous depending on where you are, but yeah, there's some great cities there. Boise, Idaho has like 0 homeless people, while Seattle, Washington, Organs mass grouping of homeless people in Portland. Pass. Oh yeah, I live in Southern California. So many homeless people here. I hate going to LA. It's very dirty. Kuwait, Bahrain, seems nice as well. Also got low crime rates. Yeah, some good cities placed in Middle East. Dubai. That's the main one. Everyone. Oh, Dubai's where all the rich people are, and it's amazing there. Probably. Well, that's what I see on social media. Very clean. I think people are doing like a white sock challenge. Like how dirty do your white socks get in certain cities? Currently playing Watch Dogs 2 while watching this stream based off San Francisco, SF, maybe. Very cool. Heard of that game? San Francisco, yeah. I've been to San Francisco a couple times, if that's what that means. Some people generally think Dubai is a country. It freaks me out. It's in the UAE. Yep. Dubai is concrete jungle right now. Weird compared to Riyadh. I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but yeah. Concrete jungles don't bother me as long as they're clean. Was medieval homelessness common? Not particularly, because if you don't work, you die. There's no social safety nets really in medieval history, if you think about it. So, there's the beggars here and there, but it's got to be not as common as today. That depends on your definition of homelessness. What is your favorite time period in history, says Henry? 1800s. I know that's a century, but anything... Most of my favorite topics are in the 1800s. American Civil War, early American history, Napoleonic Wars. Yeah, mostly 1800s, 1700s as well. American history. World War I, World War II, obviously, but those are a little overdone. So, World War I actually like a tiny bit more in terms of learning. I think World War II gets a little stale after a bit in terms of, because everyone talks about World War II. World War I is underrated. People do not talk about that as much. You sound quite a lot like a young Ron Swanson. Thanks. In terms of like voice or how I speak or what I'm talking about, I got so many. The only person I get compared to is Bam Margera, who I don't even really know. It's a skateboarding dude from like the Jackass series, I think. Good, a decent amount of comments saying I sound like him. So yeah, U.S. history is real cool in my opinion. Yeah, same. Obviously, American. If you're not American, I don't know a non-American I'm not sure how a non-American perspective on American history looks like. Mexican-American War is underrated as well. Yep. James K. Polk. And my relatives fought in that battle. They were part of the Mormon battalion. I'm not Mormon, but I trace my some of my relatives back there. Vagabond homelessness just after the last Roman emperor in the West was better now. Not gonna lie, I don't know too much about it, but homelessness in terms of history is a lot different than homelessness in terms of modern reality. Because back then you would build your own home, or if you're not in a city. If a city is destroyed, then I guess you are homeless because that was your home. Nico Bro 82 in the chat. Welcome. Favorite Napoleonic battle. Napoleonic is my favorite time period. good stuff. Definitely one of my favorites too. Napoleon is by far my favorite historical figure. I think he's the smartest person to ever exist, not including, the people of ancient Israel or scientists. In terms of everyone else in history, I think Napoleon's the smartest to ever exist. But yeah, my favorite Napoleonic battle. It's honestly Waterloo. I think Waterloo is a very interesting battle. Austerlitz, obviously his best battle. What's another one that's good? One of my favorites. Battle of the Pyramids. That's a good battle. Younger too. And Siege of Toulon. Not siege, but siege battle. Semi-interchangeable. Not exactly, but in the same realm. Voice and topic content or context. Yep. Thanks. Most of my country history is either religious based or has some very ancient regional empire. Yeah. Same with a lot of countries. James Clay Polk was a mad underrated president. He literally expanded the country the most of any presidents. Chris Taun, yeah, he got where I lived. He got the entire southwest, basically. Massive piece of land. Zachary Taylor and Franklin Pierce were in that war, then eventually became presidents. Yep. Jena for the Prussians and Ferdinand for the Russians. My personal favorite is Leipzig. Very good one. I think that's, yeah, that's got to be up there. I got to do more of them. Only ones I've really done are Austerlitz, Waterloo. Those are the main ones that I don't remember. And Borodino. Not really specifically Borodino, but I did a video on the whole invasion of Russia. Everyone wants Sabaton to do the Napoleonic Wars, U.S. Civil War. Some members broke away, created Civil War, and then covered the topics in their own songs. Yep. One thing that surprises me about the U.S. is that each state is sort of its own country, but at the same time, it's tied together through some sort of law. Yeah, exactly. Florida is way different than Montana. And big thing is it was colonized by different people. So where I'm from, Spanish colonized. It was Spanish colonization. Back east, it's British, Canadian, or British, French, and Dutch colonization. So all these different cultures, but they're all American. I do Civil War reenactments. Very cool. I'd love to do those. I just don't live anywhere near any Civil War battles. Yeah, it's very cool. Battle of Tippecanoe during the American Indian Wars, 1811, was a weirdly interesting battle, at least its aftermath. Yep. How did Napoleon defeat the Holy Roman Empire? Sheer brilliance. That's basically everything he's ever done. Extremely intelligent. So, Napoleon, Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar, no. There's no comparison. It's Napoleon 100%. His tactics were revolutionary. In fact, I'd put Hannibal Barca as the only person to compare to Napoleon, because Hannibal Barca's tactics were revolutionary. Holy Roman Empire was weird. I see people say it wasn't holy, nor Roman or Empire. Christon. Yeah, in terms of being holy, up to interpretation, it was a Christian kingdom or Christian empire, so depending on your definition of holy. Roman pretty much wasn't Roman unless you're think Gaul was intrinsically Roman after the fall of Rome. I think it's mostly Celtic. And it being an empire depends on your definition of an empire. It was basically a confederation of a bunch of super small states, and it had an emperor, obviously, but the emperor had to battle rebellions all the time. Where are you in the U.S., I'm assuming? Yep, I am United States based. I'm from Southern California, and that's where I am currently. Lived here my entire life. Colonized by the Spanish. So yeah, I like learning about Spanish history. I didn't really care for Spanish history for a while when I was younger. I was really into British mostly. But yeah, as I've gotten older, really like Spanish history. I'm very near to you, Imperial History. Yep, Kriston, SoCal. William Henry Harrison was really a decorated war hero, even named Old Tippecanoe because of the battle. His 1840 presidential campaign was Tippecanoe and Tyler too. Pretty interesting facts. Henry says there are plenty of Civil War reenactment groups in California. I gotta see them. I gotta see them. Gotta research that more. I'm mostly thinking Civil War reenactment groups in terms of actually participating where the battle took place. Yeah, that's mostly what I am picturing. Yeah, I'm sure it happens in random fields here. I haven't seen any though. I just don't live in the right areas. Longest war history in Spain, says Foxfire. Yeah, and I went to New Mexico. Super Spanish there in terms of, history. Mexicans are, Spanish plus indigenous. Do you think Queen Anne's War is underrated? Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of underrated wars out there. Only overrated war I'd say is World War II. I know it's the most impactful war, basically, but there's a lot of underrated wars out there. We do topics on African history, like the Malian Empire, Ethiopia, Zulus, Egypt, Abbasid, or Ghana. Yeah, I did one video on African history in terms of Zulu. That was the Battle of Rorke's Drift. That was 300 or so British soldiers against tens of thousands of Zulu. And I'm probably going to do a battle on Isla Wanda soon, which was right before Rorke's Drift. And the Zulu actually won that battle. And then some more ancient empires. Yeah, I definitely had an idea on chariots. Chariots are very interesting because they were the most powerful weapon, or powerful tactic for a while. And you have to read the Bible. Egyptian history is pretty big in that too. Red Sea party and then all those chariots getting drowned. But I don't dislike ancient history. I just find it difficult to make a video on simply because it's so murky on the details. Like Civil War, yeah, this is exactly how many troops they had, or roughly how many troops they had, and this is where it took place. This is who the commanders were. This is the tactics they used. That's why I like more modern history, because the details are really easy to know. Ancient history, not so much. That's my main problem. But ancient history is very important. Rorke's Drift, that's a Sabaton song. yeah, it is. Malian Empire. Ethiopia. Yeah, I could do something on that. Abbasid Caliphate. I think I did something on that. I think it was Battle of Tours. I don't know if the Abbasid Caliphate was there. Maybe that was something else, but yeah. I agree. Also, muskets are cooler, says Henry. Yeah, muskets. I love that smoke. Oceanian history should still have some things like Polynesia, Hawaii, Indonesia, Aboriginal Australia. Yes. And James Cook, one of the greatest British explorers in history. But the first European to either map or confirm Australia as a place was Dutch, I believe. I did a quiz on that a while ago. But yeah, Polynesians, they were very good at sailing. They were very interesting. And Pacific Ocean is so remote. Yeah, Dutch sailed on the west coast in like the 1600s. Do you play Empire Total War? I actually don't, but I've been looking at getting some of those games. The only two historical games I really play are War Thunder, but I had to delete it because my computer needs more storage. Gonna get some more soon. I'm gonna get back on War Thunder. Then Chivalry, which is just medieval battle. Hawaiian history, yeah, that's pretty interesting. I would recommend playing it right now. Pretty cool, pretty cool. I'll look into it. China has a lot of history. I love Chinese. Went to, where did I go? I saw the Forbidden Temple or Forbidden City. Prithol, the piano boy, says, I like your history quiz post. Thank you, Prithol, the piano boy. Welcome. If you have any quizzes you'd like for me to do, put them in the chat and I'll try to do it. And if you want, I can give you credit. That goes for anyone, not just the piano boy. Also, it's a member's perk, so if you want to become a member and do that on a regular basis, not just on Livestream, you can do that. Yeah, China. Where did I go? Let's see. Let's get in my pictures. I kind of forgot what it was. Yeah, I think it's called the Forbidden City. I didn't go in actively in there, but then I went to the Summer Palace. That's what it is. Summer Palace in Beijing. That has some of the best architecture and paintings on architecture I've ever seen. And it's on a big lake, and the boat itself is in the old art style. So, Summer Palace, Beijing, and I saw the Forbidden City, but I didn't go in it. Then, what else? Hong Kong, but didn't really do anything there. Greek history is probably perfectly rated, not over or under. Yeah, definitely agree. Because Greek history is extremely important for a couple thousand years, and then it becomes part of the Ottoman Empire, and then it's not really Greek anymore. It's Greek people under the thumb of the Ottomans, and then they're also part of the Roman Empire, and there's definitely some Greek influence on the Romans, but it's not an independent Greek place. Ancient history gets a lot of attention. Byzantines are cool. Yep, definitely. British Empire history has lots of interesting history to remember. Yep. I think British history is my favorite. I went to the British Museum once. I only could spend a couple hours there, but it's so massive and it's so amazing because a lot of these things would not be preserved without the British. They'd be destroyed to history. And the French got the Rosetta Stone. That sounds off topic, but yeah, the French, like the French with Napoleon, they got the Rosetta Stone, and that helped us a lot. So, yeah. Battle of Albuina, 1457. A guy named Skanderbeg fought the Ottomans and made them flee despite being outnumbered 1-10. That's I gotta do a video on that. I've heard of Skanderbeg, but I gotta do some stuff. Foxfire says, was the great King Dynasty's hereditary get severed yet? End up with the same name. I'll tell you for free, a lot of people in China have the same name, so I think that's basically it. Or it just got passed down. Yeah, if you look at Oversimplified's Three Kingdoms War on Ancient China, I like that. That's one of my favorite videos of his. And Ancient China is just so many dead in so little time because there's so many people there. India also has rich history, like the Delhi. Yep. And Alexander the Great went into India. If you want to enter the giveaway, you can join the Discord. Giving away a shirt, hat, mug, or flag from my shop. Charles Curtis. Syria also got its flag emoji update. Oh, very cool. Now we have a flag emoji for Sark. Oh, that's interesting. It says I've got about 130 views on this live stream. It's pretty cool. Drop a like if you're an OG. First live stream. I will remember these names. So if you wanna comment. Spitter Agnew is a weird name, not gonna lie. Yep. It is. Schuller Colfax. 2 in my opinion. Yeah, Rourke's Drift. 17. Vizsla Wanda. Battle of Kamala. I don't actually think that's a battle. I think it was just during the election. And it kind of sounded like Gambula, or whatever that is. I'm getting my 3 channels to say hi before it's too late. Excellent choice. I'm probably going to end the stream in about 20 minutes. 2 hours, I'd say. At the 2 hour mark, probably. What did Kievan Rus become? When did Kievan Rus become Russia? A hi from main channel. It says Chris Varius. Not sure to be honest, but they're an interesting people because they're basically Viking. I think if you think about it, a lot of Viking influence. Not exactly, but in terms of that area. But I think it's in around the 1300s. I don't actually know much about Russia. Chris Guardian from the original channel in the chat. Let's see this. Q&A. I don't know how that works exactly. What do you think the biggest cause of war is? Hi from the Afterthought channel. Chris the Fire and Ice Warrior. Go to channel name. I think it's gotta be resources. Got them all. Gotta catch them all. Yeah, Abbasid Caliphate. So that's the one that destroyed Baghdad. That's what I was thinking of. Battle of Stamford Bridge. That is an interesting battle. Both men were named Harold. One with an A, one with an O. Harold Godwinson, Harold Hadrada. St. Petersburg, Leningrad. Oh yeah, this might be semi-fake, but it's a good quiz. James Buchanan, only U.S. president to never marry. He was engaged though, which is interesting. Shoshone, Cheyenne, Sioux, Cherokee. Yuri Gagarin. 872 days of siege. People hate Buchanan. Yeah, he didn't really do much, and I think that's why people hate him. Compare that to other presidents, which is a lot different because or like Coolidge didn't do much, but he's not hated. I think that's because a civil war was looming and Buchanan did nothing to stop it, and in doing nothing to stop it, he kind of exacerbated it. Kyoto. That's good. Culturally important. That's an interesting thing not to destroy. Coolidge was just quiet. Yep, I really like Coolidge. Coolidge and Truman were quiet presidents. That's why I like them. Not why exactly, but you know. Firebomb. I'm going to do a video very soon on the firebombing of Tokyo, because that was more devastating than both atomic bombs put together. Where did Germanic tribes come from? All over where modern day Germany is. Also, they immigrated to the British Isles. So Jutes, Saxons, and Angles basically come where the Denmark Peninsula is, basically. And then they came to Great British Isles and took it over. So the Anglo-Saxons defeated the Celts to claim that land. and that's where the Anglo-Saxons come from. And then the French, slash Northmen took it over with William the Conqueror. Did they just spawn in the Germanic area? Well, I mean, it depends where people come from, in your opinion, but everyone's from somewhere. So, Germanic people were living there for thousands of years. But when did they really become Germanic? Not until after the Romans, really. They're basically called barbarians. So they didn't really have a Germanic identity until way later. That's why Germany didn't form until 1871. Because there wasn't a massive German identity in terms of a state. Yep, English is a Germanic language. Dutch, Danish, Swedish, Norwegian. Yeah, English is made by Germans, but also has a lot of French influence. Because William the Conqueror was Norman, and Normans are half French, half Northmen, roughly. So, for like 300 years after, the language of English kings was French. And that's weird to think about. Battle of Hastings, yep, 1066, William the Conqueror took over England. So it was Anglo-Saxon England, which Anglo-Saxons are basically Germans. But after 1066, nowhere else, no time after that, is England ever going to have a proper invasion on them again. England was invaded so much for a long time, but then after Hastings, they were just never invaded again, truly. Great Britain already had to deal with Vikings at the time, exactly. Vikings came in 1795, or around 1795, ended in 1066. So about two and a half, or about 200 years of Viking tyranny. But then they got beat back. Okay, this one's pretty straightforward. United Kingdom, obviously. What giveaway, says Gary? It's going to be a hat, shirt, mug, or flag giveaway from my shop. And you gotta join the Discord and then click the giveaway bot in the giveaways channel. So if you have Discord, you should join. If you're not, you could make one real quick and join. It's free. I don't know if I mentioned that before. It's completely free. No purchase needed either. So yeah, if there's 2 winners and 1 entry currently, so you have a pretty good shot, I'd say, to win it. Hello, Haley, in the chat. I think Swedish Vikings were in like Ghana or somewhere close by. Yeah, they were in the Mediterranean a ton. Varangian Guard for the Byzantines. They were Viking. Sabaton has a whole album about the Swedish Empire from the 17th to 18th centuries. King Cararios and all. Yep. Points last victory. Ligny. Carolus. That's how you pronounce it. Alright, good. Thomas Stonewall Jackson. the Southern Wall. That could easily be a nickname for him. But yeah, it's not. Yeah, this one's pretty straightforward. 20th century USA. Not close, in my opinion. First fighter jet, Germany. Congratulations on 60K. Thank you, Haley. Appreciate it. Thanks to everyone who subscribed, whether it be a quiz, short, or long form. Cowpens is one of the best American battles, in my opinion. Daniel Morgan is called the Hannibal of the American Hannibal. Which U.S. state was admitted into the Union 3 times? Georgia. It's a good quiz to do. Technically, most Confederates were at least twice. Poorest president. Abraham Lincoln was very poor, but time of his presidency, he wasn't. Harry S. Truman also was very poor, and during his presidency, he was kind of poor. I went to one Japanese internment camp in Delta, Utah. Not much there, to be honest. They took it down. But there's a good museum there. That shows how it was. I'll need to look into the years and explanations for you unless you beat me to it. Yeah. Chester Arthur owned like 80 pairs of pants and ate mutton chops for almost every dinner. Pretty interesting. Chester A. Arthur. Mutton chops. I don't think I've really had those. Alright, hemophilia. I think most people knew that. If they know anything about Alexei. Rasputin. Rasputin's an interesting dude. $2 million square miles in the ancient world is massive. Texas Revolution started in 1835. Oh yeah, 120,000. Yeah, 7 states. There were some in the South. There were internment camps for Japanese people in the South for some reason. I actually don't know why they transferred them all the way up there. Seeing Andrew Johnson as the answer to the Battle of New Orleans question almost freaked me out. Yeah. Andrew Jackson, not Andrew Johnson. New Orleans. New Orleans or New Orleans. Either one's fine. 10 internment camps. Longest World War I battle. Battle of Verdun. Stupidly long. I knew Johnson before Jackson. Really? I think on opposite ends of middle school. That's interesting. Dartmouth, Beaver, Eleanor. How many chests of tea were dumped into the Boston Tea Party? I'm gonna make some in-person videos probably when I go to Boston in a month. Gonna try to do Liberty Trail, Boston Tea Party, Boston Massacre. I'm also going back in October, so if I missed anything, I might put some for members, or I might put them on TikTok. Probably not YouTube Shorts because there's a time limit on those. Battle of Fredericksburg had a stupid amount of people involved. John Rabe, you know who that was? A National Socialist. That is interesting. That's a very interesting part of history. He was a German National Socialist that saved people during the Nanking Massacre. That's something they don't teach you. By they, I mean, it's just something that's not really learned about. It's not really a conspiracy to not teach it. I think it's just, it's not super influential in terms of any major World War II history. John Adams, our second president, did not own slaves. Ulysses Grant technically owned slaves. And by slaves, I mean slaves as the class of slaves. Is taxation socialism? Technically not. I wouldn't consider it. But in a way, it is. So, everything can be seen as socialism in a sense, but it's taxes directly are not socialism. Which of these presidents? Yeah, John Quincy Adams didn't own slaves either. Schofield, Wagner, Brown, or Hood. Battle of Franklin. Pickett's charge to the west was at the Battle of Franklin. Pretty interesting. Also, this one got a little controversial. 129 soldiers were killed, but they were pilots, so all pilots are soldiers. Not all soldiers are pilots. Yep, Battle of Austerlitz. So yeah, here's the thing. Which Native American empire was best, Inca, Aztec, or Maya? I'd definitely put Inca. I don't know much about the Mayans, but Aztecs did way too much human sacrifice. Oh yeah, people didn't like this one. Yeah. People don't understand how old Israel is. Thousands of years old. Mayans predicted 2012. Ink all the way. Yep, I concur. Alright, probably gonna stream here. If you want to join the Discord to enter the giveaway. If you want to add anything after the stream has ended. And yeah, leave a like. Probably gonna do another one of these semi soon. Katie, GG's on 60 or K subs. Thank you, Katie. And yeah, see you guys later.